Hi, Bree, how's it going?
Good. How are
Good.
you doing?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, thank you. I'm not too bad at all. Exciting day coming up on Sunday. What's the preparations been like for you this week?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been pretty standard week for us. We got like a split training session on the Tuesday, so the girls who played a fair few minutes on Sunday got a bit of a lighter session, but got something in their legs. And some of the girls that needed a bit of a harder session got that in. And then it's just been a normal Wednesday and Thursday here. We'll have tomorrow off, back in for pre-match on the Saturday. And then yeah, I think the girls, there's a bit of a buzz. Obviously, they're really excited for Sunday.
Malky was talking about getting used to the surroundings when you're doing the pitch walk earlier in the week this week. What was it like for you to kind of get that walk around on the pitch,
Yeah,
take it all in?
it was good. I've actually been fortunate enough. I think we had media there last season, one time at Ibrox for something, and I actually got to kind of go out onto the pitch side as well and kind of see it. And obviously, been fortunate enough to be at a few of the men's games. When it was allowed with COVID. So yeah, it's fantastic. Obviously, seen it with a packed stadium, seen it empty, and it's just a really really good stage.
Obviously playing as you did in the States, and obviously your Scottish connections being back over here. These kind of big games, like what's your take on these marquee games? Do you think they're a good thing? What's your take on it as a player?
I think as a player, they're always a good thing. I think it's a fantastic experience. Some people might say, oh, like if you're playing at a different venue, at a grander stadium, it puts more pressure on. But at some point, I think everyone here hopes to be in those situations in their career, whether that be for their country or for their club. And the only way you're going to get used to that is to start playing in them. So I think it's a fantastic thing. I think it's wonderful that the club have been able to arrange it for us.
Thinking more of like on the pitch now as well, it's been a decent one. Also, it's been a very good season in terms of form. But in terms of, I think a lot of people focus on the goal score, but it was another clean sheet on Sunday. And I think Malky mentioned that Hibs didn't offer much. But is that those kind of games the ones that actually you take a bit more pride in as well, because it's relying on you being kind of switched on at all times?
Yeah, absolutely. As a backline and the goalkeeper, we always want to keep a clean sheet. Obviously, it's more so a pride thing than anything, and obviously will help our goal differential if you're looking at it from a statistical standpoint. But yeah, I mean, you can never really get lax against any of the teams because it really just takes one moment where you're switched off, a ball over the top, and they get a good opportunity. So yeah, I think it's something that the girls did well to stay in the game. It's at times it's hard when you do have a lot of the ball. It's very easy to feel relaxed at the back because you have so much of the ball. So it's something that we've obviously really tried to hone in on this season and not get exploited on counterattacks like we did at times last season. So it's been good.
And you've had a bit more kind of variation in terms of who's been playing at the back and your partners with. Is that difficult for you? Is it something that because it seems the same personnel, but sometimes they move about a little bit? Does that just help your variety?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to be able to adapt with whoever you play based on injury, based on who the manager wants week to week, because you obviously have to think of the longevity of the season and not having players maybe burnt out. So yeah, I mean, it's always a bit of an adjustment. Everyone has their different tendencies, but we do try to mix it up in terms of who's in your team at training as well. So you get used to playing with different players. Like every week, it's not necessarily like a starting 11 versus a non-starting 11. It's quite mixed. And obviously also being quite a big competition for spots. So you really never know whether you're going to be in or out. But yeah, it's just an adjustment, but something that I think everyone's kind of taken on board. Obviously, certain people have had to play out of position at certain times based on injuries. So yeah, it's just doing the best we can with what we're given on the day.
And just the last one for me is not a lot of people get the opportunity to captain a side going on to Ibrox. All going well for you. You'll get the opportunity on Sunday. Is it something that you've been made aware of? You've also met Graham Souness during the week as well. Is it something that you are aware of what it means to so many people?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, that's a lot of pride playing for this club, and I know how much it means to the supporters. They don't just necessarily support the men; they support the club in its entirety. So that's right through obviously the B teams and our team. So it'll be a special moment. So I'm looking forward to it.
Hi there. I noticed that last season, despite the fact that when you played Celtic at Celtic Park, there was no crowd, but despite having internationalists in the team, there's quite a few of the girls they seem to really enjoy being in a stadium of that scale and size. Are they looking forward to the same at Ibrox this weekend?
Yeah, I would say so. I think obviously in these big stadiums, the pitch feels quite big. I mean, when we played in Celtic Park last season, also having no fans, it feels almost even grander because it's so empty. But I think that's something that does suit the way we try to play. We try to use as much of the pitch as possible. So I think one, obviously the girls love to be on a stage and perform, but two, I think it does suit the way we want to try to play.
And historically, Ibrox, Wembley and Hampden are the only 3 full-size pitches in the UK. And it's also got another unusual aspect that Malky mentioned, which is the camber. Is that going to provide you with a few thoughts in your head in terms of those longer passes that you make, so it doesn't drop off the end?
Yeah, we haven't actually thought too much about necessarily what the pitch is gonna provide in terms of what you just mentioned there, but we're just gonna do what we do week in and week out. First couple minutes of the game, I'm sure the girls will adapt to whatever's needed, but we'll not really know that until we get out onto the pitch, get a wee walk through and kind of feel the grass for ourselves. So we'll just take that as it comes on the day.
In terms of the way the game in Scotland's developed, it's tended to have crowds formed by, players, former players, family, rather than the normal way that crowds come to games. In terms of this, there's obviously it's a little bit short notice, but you've got a great opportunity to popularise the game. Is this something you would like to see happen a couple of times a season, is to have big kind of marquee games at Ibrox?
Yeah, I mean, if it's permitting with, you have to take into account, obviously, the men's schedule. It is their stadium. But that would be the hope, kind of like you see it being done in Barcelona for their Champions League games. They're getting Camp Nou and stuff like that. So that would be the hope, that going forward you would potentially play big games there, get a bigger crowd in, get a great atmosphere. So I think this is a good stepping stone in that direction. And thankfully it's worked out, I think, in our favor that the men's game was moved to the Saturday. So that will hopefully draw maybe some people that were going to go to the away game for the men's to maybe on Sunday bring themselves or their families to our game and get a good crowd there.
And lastly, for people who are perhaps considering coming along, bringing their kids. I'm watching the ticket sale map, and it's starting to sell the way that the B team went. So I've no doubt there'll be a good crowd there on Sunday. But if you were to say to people, what can they expect from the women's game if they've never been fans, if they've never caught the highlights? What can they expect on Sunday?
Yeah, I think a lot of the times, if you're obviously a male football fan, you might have the expectation of it being similar to the men. And I think there are aspects of the game that are going to be similar in the sense of we want to be an in-possession team and we want to play nice football. But I think you have to appreciate it for the differences as well. I think there's a lot of good. It's a very technical game. It might not be as fast-paced as the men at times, but there's still some really good quality through the pitch. And I think it's also fantastic for young girls to be able to come see that in person. I know that's something that in years past they maybe haven't had the opportunity to see. So that would be my hope, is especially if they have young girls that have any aspiration to play football, that just bring them along and they can see that maybe one day that can be them playing.